Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good day, wherever you're joining from. Welcome. We are glad to have you to our webinar today. This is the first in a new series, and our theme or topic for today is Modern Airline Retailing in Action, how airlines and sellers are co-creating the future. I'm joined today by my distinguished guests who are here. Rania, Chehade from Air Canada. We have Henry Lange from Lufthansa Group. We have Ian Fette from Navan. And we have Jason Kaufman from Direct Travel. Now today I'm also joined by my boss, Yannick Hoyles, Director of Distribution. Yannick? And it's really happy. I'm happy to have all of you here today. Today we're going to be unpacking a topic that's very close to my heart, and it actually is related to airlines and sellers and this way of working as we move towards, as an industry, move towards modern airline retailing. Now, just before we get into the topic and hear from our panelists, I'd like to invite my colleague Yannick to give us a bit of a background on the industry roadmap. Yannick, over to you.
Thank you, Chanel, and hello, everybody. So this industry roadmap, it's a way of trying to put things together in a transformation that's rather significant. We were talking about this with Chanel earlier and saying, why are we doing this? Well, I would say that it's one of the reasons is because it's completely different to NDC. You could even argue that NDC was kind of a more tactical transformation in comparison, but it's part of this journey, 200% offers and orders. The other important reason is that airlines cannot do this alone, and they realize it, which is quite important. And to reap all the benefits, you need all the stakeholders to be aligned in the same ecosystem with similar capabilities. Otherwise, it just won't work, and the one who will be most penalized at the end will be the customer. Another reason why we decided to do this slide, which is actually first shown 11 months ago at the symposium, is because the timing's right. There's a really strong momentum in the industry. And over the last 2 years, if you over the last 12 months, there's been hundreds of millions of dollars invested in solutions by airlines, by tech providers. They've been announced publicly. So, when the money's there, it means it's definitely happening. And it's on everyone's radar. An important thing, it's on everyone's radar, but in a positive sense. I don't think anyone suggests that this does not make sense. And it's about all of us trying to get there together. And the final reason why we came to doing this was to try and give everyone a bit of visibility on the big picture. As I said, it's a very big transformation. This is just a first attempt, and you will see it evolve, at trying to capture the key swim lanes, some big milestone dates, so that everyone can see where the leaders are at, because it's always a good indicator for the other constituents who are impacted by this.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I noticed, Yannick, that we have 4 dimensions. We have the industry standards, the airline readiness, the IT vendor readiness, and then we have other stakeholder readiness. That's a big category, actually. For the one who is going through this roadmap, how should they position each of these dimensions, and how should they read it?
You've got to assume that this is the first draft of the roadmap, and we'll be evolving it pretty soon. But it all starts with standards. You haven't got the standards, it ain't going to happen. So that's why the first line is the standards. The second line, it's airlines, and these are our members. We represent the airlines. These are our members, and what we do is we work with them to develop the standards, so that upon that they can then build solutions with their tech provider partners that will deliver value for their customers. And that's why the third line is the IT vendor readiness. So with these first 3 components, the journey can begin.
And would you say that we're on track?
However, just before I'd like to finish on that, Chanel, I think the journey begins, but I just want to point out that other stakeholders, it's quite, let's say you could argue, it's a bit of an anomaly, given that the session is about sellers. Well, that's why my point about this is going to evolve now. I think as we get more areas of visibility in this journey, will definitely be zooming into more stakeholders. And as you'll see in one of the next updates of this roadmap, there will be a zoom on sellers, thanks to the work that's happened in the last 6 months. And this webinar is a testimony of that. To your question, Chanel, are we on track? I think yes. You would argue it's quite a broad roadmap. So, you know, we didn't know last year when we first published it. Some people said you're too optimistic. Other people said you're too pessimistic. We're kind of somewhere in between. We've seen the first airlines go live. Finnair announced publicly they're the first to use orders on their direct channel. And we've heard Riyadh Air publicly say that they're going to be the first airline to start with offers and orders. So it's definitely happening. As I said, the timelines are still pretty flexible, but again, the overall goal at this stage is to give everyone an idea of how the industry is shifting so that they can each position themselves and say, do I want to be with the leaders or do I want to be a follower, which is absolutely fine as well. So that's kind of the bigger picture to set the scene, Chanel.
Thank you very much. And actually, I'm looking forward to seeing this breakout with the sellers as well, because I mean, I've been engaging with the community in the distribution value chain in general. And we're hearing that there are different types of readiness as well. So I'm looking forward to hear and zooming into this dimension.
So if you want to hear more, watch this space. Hey, Chanel, and the rest of all of you, here is the WPS WFS in Istanbul in 10 days' time. We'll look forward to seeing you, and you'll hear a lot more. Back to you, Chanel.
Thank you very much, Yannick. So at this time, I'm actually going to invite our panelists to join. But before we get into the actual discussion, the wider discussion, I'd like to first invite Henry and Ian from the Lufthansa Group and from Navan to come and to give a short presentation, to spend a few minutes to help our audience to get to know you a bit better, and then to set a foundation for our discussion. So with that, Ian, Henry, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chanel. Thank you, Chanel. Thanks for having us. I think it's great to be here, right, Ian?
Absolutely, beautiful day.
So indeed, a little bit of framing. We'll take a couple of minutes, and actually we wanted to make this theme of co-creating and what we do, and also how we work together as an example with the collaboration that we have between the Lufthansa Group and Navan and many other partners, to give it a little bit of a feeling, what could this mean, right? The co-creating. We just saw a super a broad roadmap and a long roadmap, right? So I think we all share also this challenge of cutting it into manageable pieces for us and really defining those steps. And I think Yannick alluded to it. There's probably not this one perfect way to this, because also all of our starting points might be slightly different. So what we're talking about in a second is usually, I guess, you can look at it very much on a tech side. We'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, then you have a lot of process topic, people topic that we'll talk about, right? That's where the co-creation, the partnership topics come to, and then the commercial topics. In the end, you know, we also need to see that along this long transformation timeline, where we remain very much focused on creating value for the traveling customers, right? So we need to kind of walk and chew gum at the same time. Why we transform this industry, we need to already be very, very clear in creating value propositions as we go. And I think Ian and I, we brought a couple of topics to just showcase on what our teams are working on to give this a little bit of a color. I would maybe even just start right in, because it's also the first line of the roadmap is standards and versioning, right? I think that's always what it leads to. When we talk standards, we also talk versions. And as Yannick rightfully said, we're obviously talking when talking modern airline retailing, we talk more than just NDC. Nevertheless, at least also in the journey for us at the Lufthansa Group, NDC has been front and center of the past 10 years in terms of transformation. I have a little bit of echo there. And so this remains one key part. And now 24.1, for those of you who are a little bit familiar with NDC versioning, is supposed to be the version also, the offer and order-ready NDC version. So a lot of the airlines are currently looking on actually how to transform there. I don't want to go too much into detail because I think it's not about version strategies in detail today, but just for your context is we as the Lufthansa Group, we're actually currently working on a hybrid flow. We feel to the very well functioning shop order, so kind of the front end of the functionality 17.2 works very solidly with a lot of our partners. So we said, okay, let's bring in first of all the hybrid and the complementing features of 24.1, especially on the serving side, which we all know is always a hot discussed topic on really bringing the servicing functionalities, but also ultimately automation levels up to speed and to the efficiency that the industry needs. Now, again, I don't want to go too much into detail of the versioning as such. The key point why I bring this up and the co-creating part of it is Navan has been one of the partners who very early on said, look, we will go down this route with you guys, and we want to be early on in the process. And that's just what I wanted to showcase as one of the key messages is co-creation also means you need those partners that are willing to move early on, right? Where you need this base of trying out things, taking on the feedback very early in the process to ultimately also build a good solution then for the wider market rollout. So that topic of piloting and early testing is super crucial. Obviously for me to move ahead as an airline, but maybe I hand over to Ian to show his side of that coin of what such a co-creation means for Navan.
Thanks, Henry. I think from a seller perspective, Navan is a corporate TMC. None of us can do it alone. Exactly what Henry is talking about the process. It's a process for the industry and it's a process for the airlines, but it's also a process for us in the selling community. So any new investment in technology, obviously you're trying to understand what's the return on that investment? What do we want to focus on? What do we hope is better? And that's what we've been doing with our partners at Lufthansa with this hybrid approach, really focusing on where can we add value, where can we really focus on the things where there's the highest return for both our customers and us as a seller. But you know, I've been doing technology for 20 years. It never works perfectly out of the box. You have to go in with an understanding that you're making an investment and you're working on it together. And that's why it's so important to have a good partner like we found here, where we can be very open and in close communication and really stay in touch of what's working, what's not working, how do we keep iterating, how do we keep refining to deliver that value for our customers, because ultimately that's what we all want.
And I think maybe that's a good transition, Ian, right? To because that's very very specific to versioning. But I think as you just touch on customer value, if we move forward, one other example that we brought, I think is something else that we were talking about here, right? Is when we think of modern airline retailing, ultimately, right, where are we getting at? Going beyond versioning and standards, etc., is creating great experiences for bookers and travelers, right? So how do we bring the manifold products that we have in travel to life in the different points of contact? And I think that's the other thing maybe to highlight from our partnership. Obviously, for us as the Lufthansa Group, we have been now since a couple of months really celebrating a great milestone for us in bringing our completely new intercon cabin online. So more and more travelers, we want them to see the product, right? We made big investments. We want them to see what they're spending their money on, right? There are new ancillaries in the way. So the other part, and that goes, I think, really beyond just versioning, etc., is really understanding the joint strength as well, right? What can I, as a supplier, bring in as product strength, and then work with a partner like Navan, really bringing in this technological strength of bringing this product live in front of the customer. So maybe Ian, you can share a little bit what you and the team have been working on, you know, when it comes to product display and really this retailing spirit in the booking flows.
Yeah, I mean, we've been focused on two things. One, we're always wanting to make sure that we're showing our airline partners content in the best light. So that investment that Lufthansa is making in new seating, especially you have something like the different types of business class seats now in the Allegris cabin on Lufthansa. We're about to roll out a brand new seat map that really highlights the differences of those seats so the customer can understand, why do I have different seats at different price points? What are the attributes? If you really want to actually sell something, you have to make sure that your customer understands it. And to enable that understanding, you have to bring a much richer set of content forward. It's not just, the old attributes of a window seat or an aisle seat, but it's really understanding the bespoke nature of that airline's product, both from a textual standpoint, but also a visual standpoint, and bringing forth things like rich imagery of seats. So that's been a big focus for us. And then, of course, we don't work only with Lufthansa. We love our partners, but we have to work with multiple partners. So also helping understand how that fits in the context of multiple airlines, multiple options, and helping a customer decide, what's special about this offer compared to another airline's offer. So we've been working together to make sure that that comes across in a clear way that really, puts everything in its best light.
Yeah, and I think that's what I meant before, right? With kind of moving towards this large target picture, and we saw it on Yannick's slide, right, with a transformation that spans beyond 2030, right? And at the same time, I think it's super crucial also for all of us to get the confidence and also the drive to move through this transformation, to already celebrate those successes as we go. I think one thing, and we don't have a slide for that, but just maybe to briefly touch on it. I think the fuel for all of this obviously is that you need, you cannot do this without a regular level of commitment and exchange, right? And also across all levels. So I think the other thing that Ian and I want to share, that of course, you need good plans, right? You need committed and dedicated teams that regularly exchange on these things. What are the next topics? How do we prioritize together, right? Where are maybe certain things where our current internal priorities do not fit, right? How do we deal with those kinds of things? So I think it's really, that's the other kind of message behind all the good tech work. It obviously needs teams and structures that are really driving those topics forward. But Ian, any comments from your side? What's important for you, right, when working with airlines like ourselves? What are you expecting and experiencing?
I think it's so important that everyone goes in understanding that it has to work end to end. So it's one thing to be able to sell a flight, have a good looking seat map, a good looking comparison of offers. But as a seller, we have functions, we have mid office, we have back office, we have people who are trying to understand what all did we sell, make sure the invoices match, make sure that data and ARC and BSP is correct. And so we've had to bring our entire agency along on this journey and make sure that we're ready, not just from a selling standpoint, but also mid and back office. And I think one of the things I appreciate about the partnership with Lufthansa is they've also brought kind of their entire airline along the journey as well. So when we get into things like accounting, we're with their accounting team and understanding, hey, does this refund look correct? Is the data flowing properly? When we're dealing with servicing, obviously we do as much servicing as we can through our app, but when we hit a snag and someone is talking to an agent at a Lufthansa call center, do they understand how to service an NDC order? So it's really about that end-to-end transformation. It's not just a technology project for the website or for the selling team, but it's really the entire agency and the entire airline going on that journey together.
Sounds good. Yeah, and we're excited to add more value together moving forward. But yeah, that was a little bit just a couple of insights. We could probably go on with more great stories for a long time. But Chanel, back to you and the other colleagues.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I think what I heard, what stood out a lot for me from what you just shared, both you, Henry and Ian, is the whole co-creation, co-creating value. Henry, you mentioned the whole thing about teams and how the teams are set up and organized on your side, and also Ian, I mean, on both sides. And in a sense, there's a bit of a learning and unlearning and unraveling, a repackaging of what we know on both the airline side as well as the travel seller side. I'm looking forward to unpacking this a little bit through the discussions, but before, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. And now I'm looking forward to hearing from Rania and Jason. First, Rania, Jason, if you could just come up on screen and then let us know how long you've been working together in this space, individually and as partners, and then share some of your achievements so far. Over
Thank
to
you,
you.
Chanel. Thank you, Chanel. Really excited, and thank you for having both of us on this panel. Well, we've been working for quite time now. This relationship go a long way. But of course, in the last, I would say, a year or so, we've been working more closely on how we're gonna collaborate on this business transformation as we upgrade the technology and as we all move towards a customer-centric retailing model for our industry. As Yannick presented on the roadmap earlier, you can see that this is a long journey, and it's not just about technology upgrade. Collaboration between Air Canada and travel partners and travel sellers, and exclusively on this panel, we'll talk what we've done together with Direct Travel, is key for the success of this transformation, because we need to create value together. And at the end of the day, for us, the travel sellers play really a critical role in enabling this shift and ensuring a seamless customer experience. Jason, I'll let you maybe elaborate more on how we started together on this journey.
Yeah, so thank you, Rania, and thank you, Chanel. So, Direct Travel is obviously, we're North America based, but a lot of people don't know that we're actually one of the largest TMCs in Canada through some acquisitions in the late 2010s. So we came to this with a lot of deep experience in the SME and large customer market segments. So we have a lot of leisure in Canada as well, but it gave us the opportunity to really listen to our customers and think about what they needed when it came to an NDC and eventually an offer order transformation. So we kind of looked at our current value position in the marketplace, and we looked for opportunities for additional success with NDC beyond what we could get out of the traditional GDS and EDIFACT platforms. And also, obviously we now have a relationship with Spotnana that's been in place for a little bit over a year now. So that gave us another opportunity to pivot a little bit and really start to unlock a lot of what NDC can offer in a unique way. Things that might be available through GDS NDC channels, but now also at the additional option of doing things through direct connects. So throughout all of this, our goal is really to not leave any customers behind and continue to provide platform choice. So if we have customers that need certain tools that are currently only available, if we hook them up through a GDS platform, we can do that. But obviously we now have a very modern retailing platform through our partnership with Spotnana that enables us to offer some additional products that we couldn't do or were challenging to do in the legacy system. So we've got connections through EDIFACT, GDS NDC, Direct NDC, and now our recent acquisition of ATPI enables us to scale a lot of that globally. And we can do that faster than we would if we were building it ourselves. As I said, we come from a traditional TMC DNA, so we're very much focused on servicing and bringing new products to market. And Air Canada has really been at the forefront of the collaboration with us in terms of delivering something that really hadn't been seen in the market yet. So we're really excited about the partnership, and we've really been able to collaborate and have some exciting new things to bring out to our market segments.
Thank you, Jason. Chanel, if we can go through the first slide, this is a good transition to talk a little bit in reality. What does that mean, driving transformation together, like tangibly, right? At Air Canada, we've been investing a lot. The whole investment we have done is really to bring unique offers, a richer content, and personalized experience for travelers. We've invested a lot in our direct channels and digital ecosystem. And most importantly, we began our journey way earlier and made a significant investment in NDC. This was key for us because we wanted to really resolve fragmentation. We wanted to bring, we wanted to create and deliver a consistent travel experience across channels. And most importantly, we wanted to empower our travel agency partners to offer our full suite of products to customers. So the idea here is customers should have the choice in any channel and should be able to access and interact with true retailing, regardless where they decide to shop. To accelerate this adoption and really to work together, we can do it alone, for sure. This is really something that depends on close collaboration across the travel ecosystem, and more specifically with our travel sellers. So our partnership with Direct Travel really is a good collaboration and plan in action, which we'll cover a little bit more in details. But as you know, this is a complex transition, right? This is a complexity in technology, and we need to move beyond when we talk about technology. So regardless of the technology upgrade that we all recognize, and it's a multi-year journey, what's most importantly and great here and significant is the business transformation. NDC capabilities brings a new way to do things. It impacts how we've worked things in the past, and give a new way actually of automating and bring efficiency in operations, well beyond also creating value to the end user here being the traveler. But we should not forget the people in all this transition, whether it's on our airline side, for example, our agent and our employees, whether it's on the travel seller side, empowering the agent so they can really offer the best to the customers and give a seamless servicing from that perspective. So having conversation, continuous conversation, and allow travel sellers to be part of our roadmap, to help us prioritize, to help us pivot when we need to pivot, because that's also something we need to recognize as we collaborate together, is key to achieve same goals and move towards the same direction. We've been talking a lot with Direct Travel, and we've been working on this integration together. The fact that we sit and understand their flows, understand the complexity on their end too, because it's not just on our end, how this integration and how they can use, for example, shopping and offers and servicing in the new capabilities of NDC and how it feeds their downstream systems is key. So they can actually continue to do the accounting. They can continue to service, for example, customers. We all know that in the corporate space, travel is more complex. They have more unique needs, like duty of care, for example, and you would need to drive this end-to-end experience through the different touch points when shopping and when using building around the NDC capabilities. So that's really a good way to think about it beyond technology. We've worked with Jason and the team, and what is really unique is the acceptance of going on an iterative approach, because nothing can be perfect from day one. As you said, this is a journey, right? So in order for us, and we really focused on the corporate space here, Air Canada have developed a lot on our NDC capabilities. We've built the foundation for servicing, but of course, in the corporate space, they have unique complexity. And we wanted to partner with Direct Travel to ensure we build a strong foundation while adapting to real world needs and unlock value in early stages while we will keep on evolving that journey. So that was really the sense of this collaboration, and the fact that we have Direct Travel willing to go with us on this journey and do that in an iterative manner, because we both strongly believe that it will unlock value earlier. For example, bringing unique offers together, unify that shopping experience from offering, for example, dynamic pricing, which was something that we've recently put in the market, and let the corporate space take advantage of this. Leverage the core foundation we have done for servicing, because we recognize that the nature of business travel requires multiple exchanges, different than the leisure space. All this was key when we started this conversation. Maybe Jason, you can build up on that and how this has been from your end as we're integrating together those capabilities.
Yes, thank you. So really, there's a lot of investment required, not just financial, but also time investment required to deliver success in these partnerships. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we're presenting Air Canada's products and their retailing desires in a way that our customers can consume them, right? And we've worked with different airlines in this throughout the years, and there has to be a recognition on the carrier side that what works on your .com isn't going to necessarily work in a non.com environment. So whether you're going specifically through an aggregator, Spotnana, Navan, Duffel, or a GDS environment, your travelers are going to have a different experience. So if you are interested in capturing this piece of the marketplace, which I think you all are, you want to make sure that you are recognizing that this isn't just an extension of your .com, but these are different platforms, and there's a little bit of different work required. So specifically with the corporate marketplace, we also have to tie in things like policy. We have to tie in all the duty of care information that we provide them. We have to make sure that everything's hitting back office, reporting, payment. So there's a lot of different pieces that the travel seller has to account for that maybe the airline doesn't in a .com environment. And specifically, again, we're focused on the corporate marketplace. So these are generally higher yielding customers. We want to make sure we're delivering them exactly what they want in the space that they need it in. And we have to be able to present this across airlines. So recognizing that we live in a competitive industry, we can't just focus on a particular airline. We have to present an ecosystem that presents offers across airlines. So again, sometimes there's some fine tuning required. And then the servicing piece of that becomes huge, because these are corporate travelers who are used to making last minute cancellations and changes. They often have very odd edge cases, multi-destination trips. So we want to make sure that servicing is enabled across platforms so that they can have a successful travel experience. Because in the end, if it's not successful, they're either going to blame the airline or they're going to blame the travel seller. And we don't want to get in that situation. So if we can make things work well from the beginning, it eliminates any friction of a migration towards NDC and towards offer order eventually.
And I add to that, it's important also in this mix that we both are interacting and also talking with corporations. This is new. This is we need to make sure that whatever capabilities we work around with NDC integrates very well into their business processes and support them in their business travel. So we have to recognize that business travel fundamentally is different from leisure travel. And why I'm saying this is in our early stage of NDC, we've built capabilities, we've addressed flows around the leisure travel. Payment, for example, is different in a leisure environment versus in the travel in the business travel sector. So it's more complex, more frequent changes. Travel crisis, for example, is something that is a big friction. They change a lot. There's movement in employees, so they need to make sure that they're not losing those values and that they can partner with their airline and the travel seller, their agency, in order to help them navigate their way from that. So recognizing these challenges together with direct travel, understanding all those use cases, all those nuances, we focus together on this roadmap, and you can see that. We've looked at it from 3 different dimensions. One is enabling rich content and innovative offering, bring it all together, understand that a business traveler, when they book their business travel, they book it differently than leisure, right? This is not choosing a destination of an option when to go. This is really heading to a business meeting. They have to be there at a specific time. So being open-minded and pivot in how our shopping approach would be to support those qualifiers, to help them understand those product attributes so we can narrow down the shopping results to what they want and bring efficiency was key in that roadmap that we worked on together, bringing some of the content that have been fragmented, like the unique offering we have on Flight Pass from Air Canada, and understand how direct travel interact with that product in order to support the customers was also unique and key that help us shape better the roadmap there. All this is to give, at the end of the day, control and transparency, give them everything in one unique, and as Jason said, we've been really fortunate to go through their technology also transformation and adapting tools that offers this unified shopping experience for their customers, understanding the data granularity that they will need and the traceability to ensure that they don't impact the business processes for corporations was also unique. So we had to make sure we work together to ensure that in the different touch points from shop to order management and order servicing, we don't lose that transparency in data, and we understand in which format it needs to be returned to them so they can actually integrate. We do recognize also that the way they've built their processes in the traditional is different. So this is why we had to really recognize the challenges of this transition and work it together. I'll let Jason maybe just final words on closing the loop on our.
Yeah, I think just a recognition that there's a lot of additional complexity in the corporate space. Recognize that there's a lot of additional complexity when you're dealing with, either taxation or unused tickets or unique products to specific markets. The ecosystem has a lot of nuance to it, and you may need to remind some of your travel seller partners, or for your travel sellers, you may need to remind your airline partners of some of the nuance of where you're doing business so that you can really have success in this area.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jason and Rania, for that. I think one of the things I've heard from you in this is the whole thing of listening to your customers, also making sure, Jason, you are sharing, leave no one behind. That's what I heard. Rania, I heard from you the whole multi-year journey and thinking end to end, and a lot of co-creation of value. I think that's a good segue to invite the others back on camera so that we can actually unpack this a little bit now. So thank you very much again, Rania and Jason, for that presentation. Now, I want to actually stick on the topic of the roadmap here. Yannick shared the roadmap earlier. I'm curious to know how your organization, and I'll start with you, Henry, how your organization, how does Lufthansa Group interpret the 2026 readiness milestones? In fact, I'm eager to hear both perspectives, both from the airline side as well as the seller side. So maybe Henry and then Ian, just share a little bit in terms of your perspectives on the 2026 readiness milestone and the roadmap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first of all, maybe just worthwhile to mention that we as the Lufthansa Group have been one of the many airlines also that were founding members of the Modern Airline Retailing Consortium, right? So especially if you look at a lot of the topics and how they're driven today, right, together with IATA, is obviously we're very heavily involved in the work on all levels when it comes, for example, to standard readiness, etc. I think it is an often discussed topic, and I think, and maybe that's also something that why we're doing roundtables like this is because it has been in the past, I think, often a discussion in terms of, hey, how well did we do this as airline community to bring everyone on board early enough, right, to explain the changes that are coming, to commit to certain standards, etc. Right, and I think from that perspective, I think it's super crucial that the standards, which sometimes sounds maybe on a first glance a little bit dry, but it's a super important, right, super important cornerstone, I think, for what we're building on as businesses then. So that's a super big topic. As you could see, for us, definitely versioning strategy, for example, so really applying standards, at least, you know, already in the NDC space, which is definitely or has been a focus since 10 years for us, really, and will remain a focus, that we get this offer piece basically and the NDC adoption up over the next years, because we really feel the order piece will then perfectly complement this. And I think a lot of the propositions that we also built for the markets are built around that. And I think the other parts, if I just pick, not to go through all of the different points, I think the other point indeed is obviously getting ready to do something practical with orders. So that's in the pipeline per se, but also these other things in terms of engagement, etc. Right? What you had as really this acknowledgement and awareness. I feel that's a super crucial point for all of us to have these discussions, because it's a multi-year transformation that we have before that, and that's something that we also invest quite some time into.
Yes, I know we could go on and on. It's such an interesting topic. Ian, what are your perspectives around the milestones for 2026, and also just reflect a bit on what are some of the success milestones you're looking forward to, or the focus areas that you're looking ahead towards?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we are very much ready. The roadmap that we showed at the beginning, you know, through 2030 and beyond, as we move towards offer and order, like, I think from where we sit, it looks very achievable. It looks very real. When we look at where we are today, depending on the day, we're sourcing somewhere between 70 and 90% of our Lufthansa content over NDC. So this isn't just a hypothetical journey for us, it's very real. And our customers are seeing value. It's everything from continuous pricing, better offers, but also from an agency side, we're seeing higher automation on NDC. We're seeing lower inbound interactions from customers. If something does go to an agent, we're seeing a faster servicing time. So we're seeing benefits now. And as we look ahead, we're looking forward to seeing more of those benefits in the future as we move to offer and order. And we are, you know, doing everything we can to make sure that we're ready as the airlines move ahead. And again, it's not just selling, it's really that end-to-end, the entire organization, understanding things like, should your invoice be driven off of a ticket, or should it be driven off of the information in the order? Like, that sounds very mundane, but that's actually very, like, something that you can look at now and make that transformation to make sure that you're ready for that offer and order journey. So for us, that roadmap looks very, very real, and we're very proud to be on that journey with you.
No, it's good news. And what I hear from you, Ian, is that you're saying that there's a lot of benefits already in the NDC space, but you're seeing, so servicing is faster, there's more automation potential and so on, but you're looking forward to it even better and even more, and you're already thinking through processes hinging on an order versus a ticket. That's kind of what I'm hearing from you. Jason, on your side, is there anything from a roadmap perspective that you'd like to share as well?
Yeah, so we are working with a lot of different technology partners in a lot of different spaces to make sure that we are ready for offer order. So that speaks to our, our more modern retailing platform via Spotnana and how we're going to handle offer order there, as well as through our traditional GDS business and what offer order looks like there. So the biggest thing right now for us is still education. So education and standards, which kind of seem like two different things, but really the more educated that a travel seller is or an airline is, the more they can help drive the standards, which are going to allow offer order to be successful. So we're working with IATA, we're working with ARC, we're working with various GDSs to make sure that we don't, repeat some of the challenges that we had with NDC deployment, where the lack of, standards around the schema has caused friction and caused things to be implementations to be delayed, right? So if we get to a little bit stricter set of standards, we should be able to enable offer order throughout the ecosystem a lot faster than we did with NDC. So that's really our goal right now, is education, both inbound and outbound, and then working with our partners on standards that we can all utilize going forward.
Well, thank you. And it sounds like you have a very proactive approach. Rania, when it comes to legacy systems, it's so embedded in the way that we work today. So I'm shifting a little bit from the roadmap in terms of if we're looking ahead to be ready. Legacy systems, legacy processes, it's so embedded in how we work today. In fact, I think sometimes the way we think about how we work is actually constrained by the technology that's limited as we know it. How are you starting to unravel this, and how are you starting to think about decommissioning like legacy systems, processes, technology, and so on? Is that something that's been on your radar?
So I'll go back, Chanel, and if I go back to the roadmap from Yannick, you see that there are different streams, right? And there are different steps that needs to happen in order to land where we need to land as an industry on offer and order. I would say from our perspective at Canada, we're strongly believing that offer and order is the future, right? And we need to overcome years and decades of legacy systems that reach the max that we can do with it. And I think this is being recognized across the industry, not just at the airline level, from distribution partners, technology providers, travel sellers. So that's really encouraging. I would say that this journey will look different for each airline and for each partner, because it's no one size fits all journey. So the most important part is, as we develop the future and as we develop the standards, is to have a mind shift and start looking at what offer and order will unlock, so we don't bring the complexity and the limitation of the old world into the new world. And I think this is key for everyone. This is key also when we say at the beginning, we said this is not just a technology upgrade, this is a business transformation. That's what we meant. Like, this is not where you're gonna go, oh, this is how my process was working, this is how PNR and all tickets would stitch together all the data, and let's see how we're gonna do it. The beauty of order is that it brings you that integrity into one place. And it unlocks huge operational benefits, but also unlock great value from a customer experience perspective, helping us go beyond what we've been accustomed to do in the legacy world. So I think it's a transition. I wouldn't say that we're gonna unplug one and plug the other on in overnight. I would say this is really, to make it successful, it's a collaboration as we start bringing what the technology and what offer and order brings up. And NDC is the building block. For me, standards is critical. We need to enhance and accelerate the standards. If I put my hats here as the industry more, to Henry's point earlier, Air Canada is very also involved in the consortium, but also across the different standards boards. And that's important for every airline, for every travel seller, and for every technology provider to take part of that, because we need those standards. We need a common language between all of us in a retail supplier or retail seller world in order to move in the right direction.
Yes. No, thank you very much. I hear education. I hear the need for education and engagement, but I also hear, Rania, what you're saying is there's a seat at the table for you to participate and to be involved in contributing to the overarching standard development towards the end. So thanks for sharing that. I think I want to come back to that collaboration earlier. I mean, I've seen through both your presentations, there's a very strong collaboration that's going, very strong way of working together. Can any of you share an example of when alignment between your teams actually made a significant difference in the outcome? Because I know it's not easy. This is a huge change. What example can you bring in terms, just to make it real for us, in terms of how the collaboration works? Ian?
Sure. I mean, I think we've got this collaboration that's really at every level. So one of the things that we worked with Lufthansa about a year ago when we started this hybrid approach was really looking at how can we do better in involuntary scenarios? None of us like when our flight's canceled. None of us like when there's a schedule change. But just working together to say, okay, we know this is part of the industry. We know it's part of reality. How do we enable that end-to-end servicing? And that was really a big focus together of making sure that when there is a disruption, do the APIs from Lufthansa work? Do we get alternatives? Is our system ready for that? Are we ready to actually display that to our customer and display it to an agent? And now we've been able to roll that out so that when there are disruptions, we have higher self-service. So we've got it kind of on the the technology side. And then we've also been working through the things that are maybe less exciting, but still very impactful from a business perspective, like things like debit memos. None of us sellers love debit memos, but working together to understand what's actually legitimate, what's not legitimate in this NDC world, and how do we kind of bring everyone together to understand how do we streamline those processes and make sure that our accounting teams are aligned with our technology teams and our distribution teams. So it's really been, again, that collaboration across the organization, end to end, from selling all the way through back end accounting.
Yes, no, end to end. Jason or Rania, would you like to offer a perspective on this as well? How is it working with you guys?
I would say that, as I mentioned earlier, we've been very, very product focused. So Air Canada has some unique products that they offer in their space that have previously been only available through their .com. So we've been working with Air Canada to try to open some of that up to our customers through NDC channels, through direct connects, and that's been really exciting for us. And we think it's going to be a huge impact in the Canadian market. So I think that's the biggest example right now.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And I liked earlier when you were sharing that you were like, you know, you don't really want to get into the blame game. You want to have a very collaborative and constructive way of working together as well. We do need to start winding down. There is one question that's here. It says the fares on a full service carrier are already expensive. By selling every offer or facility on the plane, seat selection, additional bag. And so are you shifting the full service carrier business model to a low cost airlines model? A very interesting question here. Who wants to dare to offer a very legally safe response to this one?
I'll take part of this because this really hits on the value creation of offer, right? I would say there's no one way of presenting offers. Each customer, each profile is different. I wouldn't look at that as shifting to an a la carte. I would look at that more empowering, more customization, understanding travel preferences, and be able to, in certain cases, bring offers that are bundles that meets the behavior and the preferences of recognizing the traveler, versus in some cases presenting to them more an offer, and they can actually go build up themselves what they want in terms of ancillaries, for example. Because again, if I'm a student on a travel and traveling with a backpack, maybe carry-on baggage or maybe baggage is not meaningful for me. But if I'm a leisure family going together on a family trip, my offer would look different, right? And I would like to have a bundle of all the things that makes that journey easier. So I would say the future of how airlines will be empowered with creating offers that are meaningful, that are more tailored and more adjusted and adapted, is the way to look at that, and not really fragmenting how we have fares versus ancillaries. That's really I would say more the legacy or the fact of doing things.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add really quick. I think if you, especially in the corporate travel world, where travel managers are often negotiating on behalf of their company, one of the great things about NDC and this whole migration to offers and orders is we can finally get that information and bring it forward. You know, you don't have to just rely on a corporate traveler knowing that they get a free checked bag or knowing that they get Wi-Fi or lounge access or whatever might be negotiated in that agreement. I can actually get a bundle that includes all of that information from my seller partner. I can know that they have those inclusions from a corporate fare. I can know what inclusions they have because of their status. And then I can really help that traveler find the offer that's right for them or construct the offer that's right for them, whether it's, you know, nicely packaged through NDC or whether I'm trying to stitch something together in the legacy world. Ultimately, I'm trying to guide that customer through to the content that's right for them. And this whole offer and order transition really enables that in a much richer and cleaner way than was ever possible in the past. So I don't know if that's really a business model question or just like getting the customers the information that they need to make the decisions that they're trying to make.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is highlighting the fact that there is more transparency so that the customer can know what's included. The business model, yeah, there might be changes, but it's really up to each airline to decide on the commercial strategy. But from a overall adoption and technical perspective, there's a lot more opportunity for airlines to be more transparent to their customers so that they can deliver that customer service, better customer service that they're looking for. Now, I'm conscious we're really winding down now, so I'd like to, in the last few moments, I'd like to look at, from your experience, what kind of advice you'd give to your peers that are starting the offer and order journey. If you were starting now, what would you like to hear? So just give me the 20-second version of your thoughts on this one. Let's start with you, Jason, please.
Yeah, so offer order is going to unlock even more retailing opportunities than we've seen with NDC. It's going to unlock new commercial opportunities and it's going to unlock new product opportunities. But the value is not innate. Airlines, OBTs, sellers, they have to collaborate and they have to invest in the relationship to unlock the success.
Wow, thank you very much, Jason. Ian?
I would say just go in with an end-to-end mindset. You can't go in just thinking about, you know, how do I sell the content I want, continuous pricing, so let me just sell it. You really have to understand your NDC journey, your offer and order journey end to end, map it out, and make sure that you're bringing your whole organization along with it. And if you do that, you'll be much more successful.
Thank you. Henry.
Probably in addition to what the colleagues already said, the one very practical advice is also learn from what is already out there, right? There's a lot of experience, a lot of great work that is being shared by individuals in the ecosystem, by IATA as well, right? So I think anyone who wants to catch up, there's I think really ample opportunity to cut down also the path to modern airline retailing by learning from those who've already done first steps. So I think that's really something to consume and reaching out for that support in the industry.
Thank you. And Rania.
Sure. I would say this journey is so real. It's happening. And understanding the whole end-to-end is important, but most importantly, I would say join us. Join us. There's a lot of forums where you can learn, where you can leverage what has been already developed. There's a lot of work to be done still. It's a multi-journey. It's complex. So by joining the rest of us, you can help us shape it and accelerate, especially on the standards.
Thank you very much. What I've heard from all of you today, I've heard about the importance of co-creation, collaboration. I've heard about need to think end to end, but getting value, achieving value bit by bit along the way. I've heard about the importance of being proactive and seeking for answers, getting educated. I've heard about understanding and spending the time to learn and collaborate. I've heard that there's a lot of information out there. I've heard that it's not an easy journey, but it's one where the collaboration and the co-creation and looking for value is what's going to help to move us forward. I've heard that it's not necessary to focus on the blaming, but it's important to really try to listen and understand each other. Rania, Jason, Henry, Ian, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. We've learned a lot. I've certainly learned again a lot and from this presentation and this discussion. I look forward to further discussions with you on the collaboration side of things. And with that, it leaves me to say nothing else but a big thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.